Perhaps. I hadn't intended for it. I assure you, when I entered that room, uttering your name was not on my mind. Yet, something shifted this Thursday. A part of me fractured, and I could no longer conceal it. For far too long, I have guarded the essence of you within me, like a cherished secret, shielding your memory as if it were the last untainted fragment of my existence. This week, my family noticed the truth etched on my face. My mother, my brother, even my cousin each inquired why I had been so distant, so quiet, as if I resided in a different realm. And I could no longer deceive them. My love, I laid everything bare. I spoke of you, of our connection, of your actions, and of the lingering feelings I harbor. Initially, I feared I would regret it, but the instant your name escaped my lips, a weight lifted, allowing me to breathe freely once more. They questioned why I had never brought you home, why I whispered your name like a prayer, yet never under the light of day allowed anyone to meet you. For the first time, I unveiled the truth. What we shared was genuine, and I wasn't prepared for anyone to tarnish it. I explained that you were unlike anyone else, that you weren't just a fleeting companion. I shared how your gaze held significance, how you made me believe even my most flawed aspects were deserving of love. You ignited in me a belief in tenderness again, which I tarnished in my pursuit of strength. I even confessed that I had blamed you for walking away, though deep down, I recognized I had been the one shutting doors before you had a chance to open them. Their shock was palpable. My mother fell silent for a full minute. My cousin looked at me as if seeing me anew. My brother simply shook his head and remarked, "Why didn't you just fight for her?" Hearing those words broke me. I stepped out onto the balcony to regain my composure, to prevent my heart from shattering once more. Regret washed over me. I should have fought for you. I should have stood boldly and proclaimed, "This is her. This is the one I prayed for during my anguish. This is the woman who rekindled my ability to feel." Instead, I allowed my pride to overshadow my love. I permitted my fear of judgment to overshadow my own heart's truth. And now, that truth is out. They know. Every single one of them. Strangely, I no longer care if they judge me. For the first time in months, I feel genuine. I feel authentic. Yet, the most painful revelation was disclosing your actions, not out of anger or to cast blame, but to ensure they understood why your absence still torments me. I recounted the message you sent, the one I could not bring myself to respond to. I relayed how you reached out, how you attempted clarification, and how I chose silence, unwilling to admit that my love for you persisted. I divulged how I hurled my phone across the room that night, not due to your words, but because I realized I had never relinquished hope for more from you. I described how you sought to love me in the right manner, and yet I was unprepared to embrace it. I confessed that I had pushed you away with my silence and pride, assuming I was protecting myself when in reality, I had obliterated the only authentic connection I ever possessed. They offered no defense for me, they said nothing to soothe my soul. They simply listened. For once, I did not feel like a victim, but rather a man who erred and found the bravery to acknowledge it. My love, I am uncertain of your current state, whether thoughts of me persist, but if your heart feels weighty today without reason, it is a result of my words echoing with deep emotion and sincerity. The sentiment reverberated through a room filled with those unaware of your significance in my life. They did not understand that concealed behind every calm smile I displayed was the memory of your laughter. Behind each polite nod was the sorrow of yearning to hold you once more. This Thursday altered everything. I shared feelings that I should have conveyed when time was still on my side. I told them you were the first person who genuinely saw me, acknowledging my brokenness, fear, defensiveness, and uncertainty. Rather than flee from these vulnerabilities, you chose to remain. You loved me, even when I struggled to accept that love, even when I found it difficult to reciprocate in ways that felt adequate. You provided me with my first real sense of security. Such an experience cannot be fabricated or forgotten. They asked me why I had waited so long to express these sentiments. I found it challenging to articulate my thoughts because how does one explain that you were the sole element of my story I sought to protect? Not out of shame, but from the fear that someone might tarnish it if they got too close. I guarded your name as if it were sacred, carrying it like a prayer. Now, however, it has been unveiled. Now, they know. They understand that the love I lost was not merely love, it was you. It pains me to admit that I was the one who allowed it to slip away. You were the haven my heart sought in every quiet moment. The day I finally spoke your name aloud again, something within me both shattered and softened at once. As I trembled, my breath caught, and my throat constricted, the moment I pronounced your name, a tide of memories washed over me like crashing waves. I remembered how you used to say my name as if it were your favorite word, how your presence could brighten any space. Most importantly, I recalled the last time our eyes met, not with anger, but with surrender. That moment now resides within me, and it resides in them too. They finally grasp why I have been distant, why I have kept away, why I have allowed no one else into my heart, truly. There has been no room for another because I never truly let you go. Your essence lingers in every song, every street, every dream, every heartbeat. Perhaps I hesitated to move on, holding on to the idea that by remaining loyal to your memory, I could convince myself that I had not entirely failed. Yet, I did fail. I failed you and I failed us. This is what I articulated to them. But I also conveyed that I still believe in you, that I still have faith in the vision of us untarnished by fear, timing, or pride. Deep in my heart, I cling to the belief that such love does not dissipate, it merely goes silent, waits, and transforms. Perhaps this moment, this Thursday, was a call from the universe, asking me, are you finally ready to stop evading what your soul has already chosen? And my answer, dear, is yes. Yes, I am. I am uncertain of your current circumstances or where your journey has led you. I do not know if you still think of me at 2 a.m. when the world quiets down. However, I do know this. I have never stopped thinking of you, not even for an instant. Even though I was the one who let go initially, I have never ceased reaching for you on a spiritual level. I have prayed for your peace, sought strength for you in the universe, and yes, I have hoped that perhaps your heart could still sense the echoes of mine, even if only in fragments. Thus, when I expressed on that Thursday that I had erred, that I should have voiced more, acted more, fought with greater fervor, I did not seek their sympathy. I was not attempting to portray myself as a victim. I was simply revealing the truth for the first time in a long while. And the truth is, I still love you, not out of habit, not from nostalgia, but because my soul has never relinquished you. Their astonishment was evident, not merely because I spoke your name, but because I uttered it with reverence, as if invoking a prayer. Even after all this time, the tremor in my voice reflected the weight of my loss. Now that it has been revealed, now that others have heard the long-hidden feelings within me, I no longer feel the need to conceal myself. My intention in revealing you was never to evoke shame, rather, it sought to honor you, for you were never a secret but something sacred. Perhaps it is too late to mend what has been broken. This confession may alter little in the physical realm, yet a spiritual shift has occurred, a crack has opened, and I can feel it. A powerful transformation is attempting to arise from this well of sorrow. Since that moment, I have been consumed by reflections on how differently things might have unfolded had I spoken sooner. Had I shared my feelings when your name resonated within me, vibrant and alive, perhaps I would not find myself here, weighed down by the silence I chose. Maybe I would have found the courage to strive for you instead of surrendering to my fears. I believed I was protecting us by keeping you close to my heart, yet I was, in fact, shielding my pride. Now, I recognize the cowardice of that choice. Genuine love, the kind we once shared, is not destined to remain hidden, it deserves to be celebrated, defended, and expressed as truth. On that Thursday, I did just that. I conveyed how your voice calmed my inner storms, a relief I had never acknowledged. I described lying awake, listening to your breathing, marveling at how someone like me could be close to someone so radiant. I revealed that your belief in me was overwhelming, particularly because I lacked faith in myself at that time. In hindsight, I realize you never expected perfection from me, you merely wished for my presence. That is where I faltered. I vanished when you needed my steadfastness. I chose separation when I should have embraced depth. I did not merely express this with words, I communicated it through tears, with a trembling voice and a heart that finally yielded. My family witnessed a side of me they had never known, the side that stopped pretending to be okay. For the first time in ages, I felt unafraid to reveal my brokenness in front of them, for this love, our love, deserved more than silence. It demanded to be voiced, even if it was years overdue, because it mattered. You mattered. You still do. I do not know if these words will ever find their way to you. I do not know whether you have completely closed that chapter or if some part of you still reacts when my name is heard. However, I must convey that this is not simply a confession, it is a resurrection. I am no longer the man who let fear overshadow love. I have learned and I have grown. I have been stripped to the core of my being, and still, at the essence of it all, there lies you. Perhaps it is selfish of me to say so, perhaps it is unjust to mention your name in a space you never inhabited. Yet, I could no longer endure that burden. I could not continue to pretend you were merely a chapter in my life. You represented the entire book, and the narrative continues, unwritten in dreams, melodies, and the way I halt when someone utters your name as it once was. Fragments of you resonate in every bit of beauty I encounter. Whenever I attempt to move forward, the universe whispers, "Not yet. Not until you speak the truth." So, I have spoken the truth. They silently listened, they did not interrupt or offer advice or attempt to fix anything. Their silence became the most profound affirmation I have ever received, a green light to finally mourn what I had never truly said goodbye to admit that I loved you more than anyone else, yet failed to show you that love as you deserved. I am liberated from carrying this burden alone. For it is no longer a secret, now the air around me acknowledges your name, not due to any external occurrence, but because I finally permitted myself to articulate the truth I had buried for several months. I ceased pretending, ceased performing, ceased acting as though I had moved on, when the reality is that I have been ensnared in the last moment I encountered you. Captive in the final words you spoke. Captive in the fading echo of your footsteps as you left a man unversed in safeguarding you. My love, I have endeavored. God knows I have labored to erase your memory. I advanced in life, attended gatherings, replied to messages, even laughed on occasion, but nothing bore authenticity, nothing felt whole without your presence. My family perceives it now, they sense it in my demeanor. They understand that I did not merely lose a partner, I lost something profound. I lost the woman who saw beyond my coldness, beyond my silences, beyond even the version of myself I could not reconcile with. And you, oh God, you still looked at me as if I were worthy. Do you comprehend the impact of such perception on a man? To be seen in that light, to be loved in such a manner, only to relinquish it? My love, this is my apology, not for revealing our story to them, but for not conveying it to you sooner. For allowing months to elapse when I could have looked into your eyes and affirmed your importance. When I could have set aside my ego, cast aside the charade, and simply uttered, "Come home." Now, I am burdened with the echo of those unspoken words. Yet today, this Thursday, something within me has transformed. Perhaps my soul was unable to bear the weight any longer. Perhaps truth possesses an innate propensity to resurface, even when efforts are made to repress it. Or maybe, just maybe, it is because you were destined to hear this somehow. In some way, through the winds or a message, or through the persistent ache in your heart that refuses to dissipate. My love, revealing your existence was not a bid to harm you, concealing it has caused me pain. As I sat in solitude after that conversation, I confronted a truth I had feared to acknowledge until now. I did not merely share our story with them. I decisively shared my internal truth, the realization that I have never truly moved on from you. Regardless of who entered my life, regardless of how much time has passed or the distractions I immersed myself in, you remain the central figure my soul continues to orbit around, like gravity, like the very essence of life, something sacred that cannot be erased. I have attempted to rewrite our narrative, to convince myself that our connection was merely a chapter, but that has been the lie I nurtured to ease the agony of silence. It was a fabrication I repeated to shirk from admitting how deeply embedded you are within me. But this Thursday, when I pronounced your name, something fractured within, and perhaps for the first time, that fracture felt restorative because I was not only revealing you to them, I was unveiling myself, my regrets, my truth, my missteps, and my heart. And for the first time, I felt no shame. I was unafraid of their reactions. I simply knew I could not maintain the pretense that you did not shape me in ways no one else could. I declared that you were the very reason I began to believe in tenderness again. You became the voice that persisted in my mind whenever I contemplated surrender. Even in your silence, I sensed your presence in spaces I had not realized could accommodate someone. Do you grasp the magnitude of that realization? You became the calm amidst my chaos. When the world was tumultuous, your memory was my sole semblance of peace. I had never disclosed that to you. I never shared the countless occasions I nearly reached for my phone, longing to hear your voice, nor the many nights I revisited our old conversations, simply staring, hoping for a sign that you hadn't completely moved on. Yet, each time I hesitated to press send, allowing my fears to overshadow my love repeatedly. The cost of this was not punishment, but an overwhelming emptiness, an ache that no one else could alleviate, a silence that no other voice could soften. Following that Thursday, those around me began to notice. My mother observed me with a new understanding, as if she could perceive the burden I had kept hidden for far too long. Though she spoke little, she often does when it truly matters, her eyes glistened with unshed tears. When she placed her hand on my shoulder and said, "Maybe it's time to stop punishing yourself," it nearly shattered me. Because she spoke the truth. I had been striving to atone for my actions, for my failures regarding you, for not fighting hard enough when it mattered most. But primarily, I had been punishing myself for allowing you to believe you did not matter. You were more significant than anyone else, more precious than anything. I recounted the expression on your face that final night, your eyes devoid of rage, only disappointment. It was as though you wished to believe in me, yet I offered nothing for you to cling to, leaving you to wait for the person I had promised to become, but never did. That expression still haunts my dreams, and now they, too, recognize it. They understand my silence, the reasons behind my withdrawal, and why no one else has graced my home. Because no one else is home. You were, and you continue to be. I have no way of knowing how you would react if this message reaches you, nor if you even wish to hear it. However, I must clarify that this was not merely a dramatic outburst or a fleeting emotional moment. This was a release, a confession, an unfurling of a truth that I have been stifling. When it emerged, it did not evoke shame, instead, it felt liberating, like perhaps something within me could finally breathe again. I have languished in this silence for far too long, watched memories of you drift by like ethereal shadows, replayed our single conversation countless times, recalling your laughter, your pauses, and the unspoken heard in your voice when I failed to articulate what you needed from me. Now, I refuse to hold back any longer. I refuse to feign indifference to the feelings that linger. I dismiss the notion that I have moved on when, in truth, my soul has remained rooted in you all along. So, indeed, on that Thursday, I laid bare my emotions. I conveyed the truth. I released everything. And now that it's been expressed, I do not wish to retreat into silence. I do not desire to revert to pretending. Above all, I do not want to return to a life devoid of you, be it romantically or otherwise. I simply wish for you to remain a part of me as a soul, as a memory, as a presence, as a truth. You were never just a chapter in my life, you were the pivotal moment, the plot twist, the essential page that lent significance to the entire narrative. Following my outpouring, I sat in silence, not because I lacked anything further to convey, but because the weight of all those unspoken truths had finally been lifted from my chest. Initially, my family was at a loss for words, they merely watched me. They observed a boy who had mastered the art of concealing his emotions crumbling under the undeniable truth he could no longer escape, you. For the first time, I believe they saw me for who I truly am, not as the strong individual who had it all together, but as a man grappling with the loss of the person he loved most, still striving to find air amidst the grief. They witnessed a man who had buried his feelings so deeply that even he had forgotten their location, until now, until that Thursday. Understand that I was not merely communicating to them about you, I was, at long last, articulating the truth about you to myself. I expressed feelings I should have shared when we still had time. I told them you were the first person who ever truly recognized me, seeing the brokenness, the fear, the defensiveness, the uncertainty, and instead of fleeing, you chose to stay. You loved me, even when I struggled to accept it, even when I found it challenging to reciprocate in the right way. You provided the first instance when my soul felt secure. And that is not something one can feign or forget. They inquired why I had waited so long to express these thoughts. I struggled to articulate my reasoning because how does one explain that you were the sole aspect of my story I wished to protect? Not out of shame, but from fear that someone might tarnish it if they came too close. I guarded your name as if it were sacred scripture, carrying it akin to a prayer. Now, it has been revealed. Now, they know. They now comprehend that the love I lost was not merely love, it was you. It pains me to acknowledge that I was the one who let it slip away. You were the refuge my heart returned to in every quiet moment. The day I finally spoke your name aloud again, something within me shattered and softened simultaneously. My voice trembled, my breath caught, and my throat tightened. The moment I uttered your name, a surge of memories rushed back, enveloping me like crashing waves. I recalled how you used to say my name as though it were your favorite word, how your presence could transform any space. Most importantly, I remembered the moment when I last met your gaze, not in anger, but in surrender. That moment resides within me now, and it resides in them as well. They finally grasp why I have been reserved, why I have kept my distance, why I have allowed no one else in, truly. There has not been space for another because I never released you. Your essence still permeates every song, every street, every dream, every heartbeat. Perhaps I was reluctant to let go, clinging to the notion that by remaining faithful to your memory, it signified that I had not entirely failed. Yet, I did fail. I failed you and I failed us. That is what I conveyed to them. But I also expressed that I still believe in you, that I still have faith in the version of us untainted by fear, timing, or pride. Deep within, I hold on to the belief that such love does not disappear, it simply falls silent, waits, and transforms. Perhaps this moment, this Thursday, was heaven's way of asking me, are you finally prepared to stop running from what your soul has already chosen? And my answer, dear, is yes. Yes, I am. I am uncertain of your current whereabouts or what you have moved on to. I do not know if you still think of me at 2 a.m. when the world quiets. However, I do know this, I have never ceased to think of you, not even for a single moment. Even though I was the one who initially let go, I have never stopped reaching for you spiritually. I have prayed for your peace, asked the universe to send you strength, and yes, I have hoped that perhaps your heart could still feel the echoes of mine, even if only in fragments. Thus, when I communicated on that Thursday that I had been in error, that I should have voiced more, acted more, fought with greater fervor, I was not seeking their sympathy. I was not attempting to portray myself as a victim. I was simply sharing the truth for the first time in a long while. And the truth is, I still love you, not from habit, not from nostalgia, but because my soul has never let you go. Their astonishment was palpable, not solely because I spoke your name, but because I uttered it with reverence, as if it were a prayer. Even after all this time, the tremor in my voice reveals the burden of my loss. Now that it has been exposed, now that others have heard the long-buried feelings within me, I no longer feel the necessity to conceal myself. My intention in revealing you was never to bring shame, rather, it was to liberate you, as you deserve to be honored, for you were never a secret but something sacred. Perhaps I am too late to mend what has been broken. This confession may alter nothing in the physical realm, yet something spiritual has shifted, a crack has opened, and I can sense it. A powerful transformation is attempting to emerge from the depths of this sorrow. Since that moment, I have been consumed by thoughts of how differently things could have unfolded had I spoken sooner. If I had shared my feelings when your name resonated within me, vibrant and alive, perhaps I would not be here, burdened by the silence I chose. Maybe I would have mustered the courage to fight for you instead of succumbing to my fears. I believed I was safeguarding us by keeping you close to my heart, yet I was actually shielding my pride. Now, I understand how cowardly that choice was. Genuine love, the kind we once shared, is not meant to remain hidden, it deserves to be celebrated, defended, and expressed as truth. This Thursday, I did just that. I conveyed how your voice soothed my internal storms, a relief I had never named. I described lying awake, listening to your breathing, in awe of how someone like me could be close to someone so luminous. I revealed that your belief in me was daunting, especially because I lacked faith in myself at that time. In retrospect, I see that you never expected perfection from me, you merely asked for my presence. That was where I faltered. I vanished when you needed me to remain steadfast. I opted for separation when I should have embraced depth. I didn't merely express this with words, I conveyed it through tears, with a voice that trembled and a heart that finally yielded. My family witnessed a side of me they had never encountered, the side that stopped pretending to be okay. For the first time in a long while, I felt unafraid to show my brokenness in front of them, for this love, our love, deserved more than mere silence. It demanded to be spoken aloud, even if it came years too late, because it mattered. You mattered. You still do. I have no assurance that these words will ever reach you. I know not whether you have completely closed that chapter or if some part of you still flinches when my name is mentioned. However, I must communicate that this is not merely a confession, it is a resurrection. I am no longer the man who permitted fear to overshadow love. I have learned and I have grown. I have been stripped to the core of my being, and still, at the heart of it all, lies you. Perhaps it is selfish of me to say this, perhaps it is unfair to mention your name in a space you never occupied. But I could no longer bear it. I could no longer pretend you were just a chapter in my life, you were the entire book, and the story continues, unwritten in dreams, melodies, and the way I pause when someone speaks your name as it once was. Fragments of you resonate within each bit of beauty I encounter. Whenever I attempt to progress, the universe whispers, "Not yet. Not until you speak the truth." Thus, I have spoken the truth. They did not interrupt, they did not offer advice or attempt to rectify anything. They simply listened. Their silence became the loudest affirmation I have ever received, a permit to finally mourn what I had never truly said goodbye to confess that I loved you more than anyone else, yet failed to demonstrate that love as you deserved. Now, I am free from bearing this weight alone. For it is no longer a secret, now the surrounding air acknowledges your name. Moreover, I shared with them that if I could turn back time, I would cup your face with both hands and declare directly to your soul, "I choose you." Not solely in private moments or during comforting times, but amidst the chaos and conflict, in front of every room that ever doubted us. I would admit I was wrong to make you feel you needed to earn love that should have been freely given. I would acknowledge my error in making you wait for the clarity that should have been yours from the outset. Most importantly, I would convey that, irrespective of how far life drew us apart, my heart has always gravitated back to you. For you were not merely love, you were home. I realize I cannot rewrite the past or undo the pain I inflicted. However, I can honor the truth now. I am walking with it and owning it. Should this truth make its way back to you, I hope you feel it, I hope you sense how sacred you have always been to me, how, even now, in silence, I still whisper your name, like a prayer I am not ready to cease. The reality is, the day I articulated everything aloud, I did not merely break a silence, I shattered something within me that had been hardened for so long that I had forgotten it still lived. A crack formed, an unraveling occurred, and a sacred ache was finally allowed to breathe. For years, I suppressed it, I buried you along with what we had, under excuses, obligations, and the fear that admitting the truth would lead to drowning in it. Yet, I did not drown, rather, I rose. And as I did so, the fog dissipated. There you stood, the brightest light in my memory, the echo in every decision I make, the standard by which I measure everything else. I wish I could articulate what it felt like to finally speak your name after all this time. It did not emerge from anger or regret, but rather as a form of worship, a reverential acknowledgement of a name that should have been spoken tenderly from the beginning. And when I declared, "I love her," and I still do, something stirred within the room. They did not react with disapproval. They did not question why I still held on. They regarded me with quiet understanding, as if they had patiently awaited me to cease pretending I had moved on. In that instant, I understood that everyone else had known except me, everyone had perceived what I had desperately tried to conceal, that regardless of the passage of time, you remained the center of my universe. No matter who I endeavored to be for others, I was farthest from truly myself, save for when I was with you. Perhaps I needed this moment more than I initially realized. Perhaps I required this confession before I could finally cease my flight from it, for God knows I have attempted to escape. I have sought to fill the void. I have endeavored to silence the memories. I have attempted to begin anew in ways that were devoid of your influence, yet none succeeded because no one else could fill your role. I need to express something that may not emerge eloquently, but it is sincere. I was not ready. Not when I had you, nor in the manner you required me to be. I believed love was merely about passion, desire, and yearning, failing to grasp the essence of commitment and the importance of showing up, even on days when I felt unworthy. I allowed my silence to speak when my love should have resonated more profoundly. By the time I recognized what I was losing, it had already slipped away, and you were drifting further away while I remained too proud to reach out. However, Thursday altered everything. When I finally articulated my feelings and revealed the truth, I sensed a release, a disconnection from guilt, a severing of chains built from shame, regret, and missed opportunities. In its wake emerged a gentle space, a possibility that perhaps the truth had been yearning to be liberated in an effort to connect with you somehow. Maybe you sensed it, perhaps your spirit stirred this week without understanding why. It could be that my words found their wings somewhere in the universe, journeying toward you. If they have reached you, I hope they arrive as a soothing balm, not as a wound. My intention is not to reopen any healing scars or provoke pain. I only wish to offer back what I lacked the courage to deliver when you deserved it most, the truth. The truth that you were not merely a phase, a lesson, or a fleeting flame, you were the genuine article. You represented the sanctuary I created in my mind when the world felt overwhelmingly chaotic. You were the refuge amidst the storm. Despite my attempts to move forward, thoughts of you kept resurfacing, replaying countless variations of moments where I wished I had simply said, "Stay. Please stay." Yet, you departed, and I let you go. I allowed you to walk away without providing the closure you sought, and for that, I carry guilt. Not because I believe I can turn back time, but because I understand the toll it took on you to love me through my fears. If I could hold your face now, if I could gaze into your eyes just once more, I would share everything I had kept hidden, everything that I believed would portray weakness. I would reveal how your absence has not faded, it has only grown more pronounced. Every space I enter still feels unsettling without your presence to ground it. Your name continues to rise within me like a prayer I have not ceased uttering. I haven't divulged every detail to others, some aspects remain sacred, moments exclusively for us. However, I shared enough for them to grasp who you were and are to me. I conveyed that I was not merely mourning a separation, I was lamenting the version of myself that could only thrive in your company, the man who felt complete, the man who dared to believe in miracles because he witnessed one reflected in your eyes. Though they may not have verbalized it, I could see their understanding in their expressions. They recognized the difference in me, they observed the part of me that still reaches for you effortlessly. Now, although time continues its relentless march, my heart has ceased pretending. I have stopped acting as though this was merely a phase, it was sacred. I honor it with every breath, by speaking your name aloud, by allowing my tears to flow freely instead of stifling them, and by finally becoming the man capable of bearing the weight of love without crumbling beneath it. You did not break me, my love, you unveiled me. And now, perhaps for the first time, I am ready to be seen. With the truth now in the open, my family informed, and the veil lifted, I no longer feel shame. Instead, I experience something I have not felt in ages, peace. Not due to closure, nor because the pain has dissipated, but because I have finally ceased pretending. I no longer wear the mask of being all right, of having moved on, or of denying that your name still resonates within me like a soft, steady pulse. The burden I carried was not solely from losing you, it stemmed from concealing how profoundly you affected my life. The moment I uttered your name, when I made eye contact and revealed the truth, I felt something sacred awaken within me. I was taken aback by their silence, by the stillness in the room. I believe they comprehended that this was more than just a confession, it was a purging, a shedding of the falsehood that I was okay. I was not okay. I had not been for a long time, and I sensed they could feel it. They saw it in the tremor of my voice, in the wistful gaze recalling memories invisible to them, and in the quiver of my hands, as if I was cradling something delicate, as if I was holding you in my heart once again. For some loves endure, they do not diminish or vanish, they evolve. They establish deep roots, becoming a part of one's essence. That is who you are to me now, not merely a memory, but an intrinsic part of my being that I cannot excise, no matter how many doors I attempt to close. When asked about regrets, I replied affirmatively. However, it was not out of love for you or the end of our relationship that I lamented. I regret not loving you more profoundly, not safeguarding what we cherished with greater fervor. I regret choosing fear when I should have embraced faith because you were worth it. Every moment, every disagreement, every risk, you were deserving of the fight. I failed to combat for you as I should have. I allowed you to shoulder the burden while I remained immobilized, hoping that time could mend what only the truth could resolve. Now, the truth is all I have left. I conveyed that no one has ever matched your spirit, even in a crowded room, it is your silence I long for the most. Even when I sought companionship with others, I was merely pursuing shadows of you. Nobody possessed your laughter, your gaze, or made me feel as you did during our moments of solitude, where the world would vanish. Even now, I replay our last moments, attempting to rewrite them in my mind. That is perhaps the most painful part, not what occurred, but what never came to pass, the words left unspoken, the promises unmade, the future we never explored. Yet, Thursday marked a new beginning, not necessarily one for us, but for something honest, something healing. As peculiar as it may sound, I needed my family to comprehend, I am not broken because of you, I am broken because I relinquished you. I allowed my own wounds to obstruct something sacred. The instant I vocalized it, the moment I expressed the truth without a filter, I sensed your energy enveloping me once more. Neither anger nor hurt resides within me, only an awareness of the present. It is as if my spirit listens, as if somewhere inside I have always known. I often ponder whether you have felt it as well, whether your heart experienced a sudden lightness. Perhaps you had a dream that night where I appeared, not to inflict pain, but to share a whispered truth. I remember everything, my dear. The memories are vivid. I recall how you held my hand as though it were the most precious thing to you. I remember how your voice softened when I felt overwhelmed. I remember the way you gazed at me, not merely as someone you loved, but as someone you believed in. It is this loss that wounds me most deeply, losing the one person who recognized the parts of myself that even I feared to confront. Now, when I gaze into the mirror, I see two reflections, the man I was with you, basking in light, and the man I became afterward, filled with life's lessons. I struggle, my love. I am striving to become the person you envisioned, the version you prayed for, equipped to embrace love without the urge to push it away. For what I feel for you transcends mere affection. It is reverence, sacred in its essence. It is a love that transforms a man profoundly, leaving behind a scar etched with hope. I am no longer ashamed. I harbor no fear of judgment from others. My only dread is that it has taken too long to express the sentiments I should have conveyed when they mattered most. If these words ever find their way to you, may you perceive them not as too late, but as a revelation, a release, and the first breaths of a man unbinding himself from silence. I do not aim to win you back, but instead to honor that which has never truly faded. You were never merely a chapter in my life, you were the ink in my story, the breath woven between every line. I have ceased pretending. The world is welcome to know, my family, too. You deserve to know that I loved you. I still do, and I regret not expressing it sooner. After I articulated my feelings about you to my family, something shifted in the atmosphere. The weight did not dissipate instantaneously, but an internal loosening occurred within my chest. For the first time in ages, I could breathe without pretense, no longer veiling my truth behind humor or evading inquiries about my distance. They perceived it. They felt it. Finally, they comprehended that this was not merely a breakup, not another name etched in my past. You were both the storm and the stillness, the before and the after, the segment of my soul that never received a proper goodbye. That evening, I sat in solitude, mentally replaying every word I had uttered about you. I was unable to sleep, as my thoughts retreated to memories I believed I had buried, the moment you gazed at me in silence, where I gleaned everything left unspoken, or the night I was unraveling, and you held me, as if to prevent my soul from crumbling. I allowed you to love me in ways I did not realize I needed until you departed. Now that my family understands the truth of our circumstances, I wonder if they finally grasp why I have been so transformed, why I have not allowed anyone to penetrate my heart again. You see, my love, I did not merely lose you, I lost the version of myself that dared to believe in genuine love. After you, I erected walls around my heart, dating individuals who felt secure simply because I did not care enough about them to risk the pain of heartbreak. I never allowed anyone to witness the vulnerable version you embraced, the part of my soul that you reached, which has since remained untouched. It is as though you took it with you, or perhaps I buried it the day I observed you walk away, carrying fragments of me I never asked you to take but simultaneously did not request to return. Now I find myself finally discussing these feelings, revealing to my family the depth of the wound I have silently endured. Strangely enough, they did not judge me. There were no rolled eyes or dismissive remarks about moving on. Instead, a profound silence enveloped us, not the awkward kind, but one that conveyed understanding, a recognition of my truth. I had not realized how desperately I needed to be seen for who I genuinely am, not the strong one, the joker, or the one who has moved on, but the man who loved deeply and suffered a significant loss. They inquired whether I still communicated with you. I answered no. Yet in my heart, I whispered, every day, in the smallest of ways. When a song plays that you used to hum along to unwittingly, when I walk past a street we once traveled hand in hand, when I nearly say something only to catch myself because it sounds like your words. You inhabit the details, the spaces between my thoughts. I often wonder if you experience this too, whether my name still lingers in your silence, as yours resonates in mine. I do not share this to pull you back, I express it to finally shed the illusion that I have moved on. I have progressed, indeed, but not moved on. For when one loves as deeply as I loved you, they do not simply get over it, they learn to carry it quietly. Yet I am finished with quietude. I refuse to pretend that it did not matter. My family knows now, and the world can know as well. You were never just a chapter in my life, you were the book I revisited in secret, hoping the conclusion might somehow alter. The truth is, I cannot determine whether you would even wish to hear this at this juncture. I do not know if your heart continues to hold space for my name, but if it does, even in the slightest, let this serve as the response, yes, I still care. I always have. I simply lacked the understanding of how to demonstrate it. I did not know how to embrace something so sacred without allowing my brokenness to contaminate it. Yet I am learning. I am evolving. I am becoming someone capable of holding love without suffocating it. I owe this growth to you, as loving you unveiled my potential. Losing you illuminated what I could no longer afford to ignore. Now, with the truth laid bare, I feel liberated, not from you, but from the silence that was suffocating my spirit. Perhaps this liberation will guide me back to you one day, or perhaps it will lead me back to my true self. Regardless, I will carry your name with veneration, not because I am unable to let go, but because true release does not equate to forgetting. It signifies honoring what was while still moving forward. That is precisely what I am undertaking now, with every breath, every word, every confession I should have uttered long ago. I sometimes contemplate what it must have felt like from your perspective, detecting the distance, witnessing the softness in my words dissipate, perceiving hesitation rather than a sense of belonging when you gazed into my eyes. I know you felt it. You have always been so perceptive, intuitively aware of my shifts, even when I tried to mask them with humor or silence. I harbor regret for those moments, regret for attempting to diminish something so divine, believing I could somehow curb the inferno in my chest by pretending it was absent. Yet it was not. You ignited something within me that I have never been able to extinguish. I have replayed that moment countless times in my thoughts. When I shared with my family about you, about everything we experienced together, it wasn't a grand revelation or a meticulously planned speech. It unfolded naturally, as if the truth had been buried deep within me for years, waiting for the right moment to emerge. Suddenly, my focus shifted from discussing a breakup or a past relationship to expressing the depth of my feelings for you, the profound loss I endured when you left. I noticed a change in their expressions, a softening in their demeanor. They began to grasp just how significant you were to me, how shattered I still felt in your absence. Since that moment, I have undergone a transformation within myself. I have begun allowing myself to fully embrace the sense of missing you, not merely in fleeting thoughts or dreams, but with an open heart and unguarded emotions. I have ceased to suppress these feelings, stopped searching for substitutes. In this process, I have come to a realization that I never articulated clearly enough: you were never the problem. It was my timing, my fears, and my self-sabotage that created the distance. I struggled to accept something so good without anticipating its departure, and that fear caused me to withdraw before you had the chance to prove otherwise. However, the truth, my dear, is that I did not wish to withdraw. I wanted to stay. I yearned to be the person who chose you daily, who expressed love in all the small yet meaningful ways. I aspired to be your safe haven, your steady presence, but I lacked the understanding of how to achieve that. No one ever taught me. By the time I finally comprehended what you needed, I found myself standing outside the gates of your heart, hesitantly seeking the courage to knock once more. Now that my family is aware of who you truly were to me, I do not feel shame. Instead, I feel sorrow intertwined with reverence, for what we shared was sacred. It was genuine, flawed, and profoundly beautiful. Perhaps it hurt so much to lose it because our connection was not based on convenience but rather on something deeply soulful. Even now, in the stillness of solitude, your name is the first to escape my spirit's whispers. I see you reflected in inexplicable moments and hear your voice in places where you've never set foot. There are times when it feels like your essence envelopes me as I teeter on the brink of despair. Maybe this is because our bond has not faded with silence or distance. Some connections transcend time and misunderstandings. I am not reaching out to bring you back to the past, rather, I pen this in the hope that wherever you are, you know you were never unloved or forgotten. You were never just a passing chapter in my life. You were the part one was unable to revise, despite the story's progression, as you are the element that awakened deep feelings within me that I never knew existed. If you have been pondering why your name lingers in the air, why your heart aches when you think of me, or why you dream of conversations we never had, know that it is not mere nostalgia or memory. It is energy, a truth that remains unfinished. Perhaps this is how it finds closure, not through definitive answers but via honest confession. I no longer wish to pretend I have moved on when the reality is that each experience of love I have encountered since you seems like a mere imitation, beautiful but lacking the sacredness, familiar yet not truly home. They do not know the essence of me the way you do, the way you still do. If the universe reunites us, if fate grants us another moment, I will not squander it. I will not allow fear to overpower love, nor will I let pride dictate a battle I was never meant to engage in. I will walk directly into your embrace, not to reclaim the past but to create a future in which we both feel secure. At times, late at night, I catch myself staring at the ceiling, as though it were an expanse where I could confess my thoughts, wondering if the stars hidden from my view are somehow listening. Might you be listening too? The truth is, even though I shared everything with my family, even though I finally allowed the words to escape my lips, the narrative I conveyed was only a mere fraction of the whole. I revealed my mistakes, how I fell short, how I pushed you away and made you feel unvalued, albeit unintentionally. Yet, what I could not muster the courage to express was the depth of my enduring love for you, the reality that I still carry you within me, your name woven intricately into the fabric of my spirit in ways I cannot hope to disentangle. And at this juncture, I do not wish to try. The most challenging part is not your absence from my life, but the pretense that you were never part of it, feigning that the way you gazed at me didn't inspire belief in something greater, pretending your laughter was not the safest sound I ever knew and that your silence now does not resonate louder than any words could possibly convey. Perhaps my family understands this now, perhaps when I mentioned your name, they observed the falter in my voice and the way I looked away, as if the memory of you still smoldered behind my eyes. They may have discerned that I was not simply speaking of someone I once loved, I was expressing the love that endures to this day. You were never merely a love story to me, you were the moment my soul awakened, the instant the walls I had constructed for years began to collapse, simply because you were there, unafraid of my shadows. You didn't just enter my life, you truly saw me, all of me. I have never been the same since. I now comprehend why I distanced myself. It was not due to a lack of love, rather, it stemmed from an overwhelming love, coupled with an inherent belief that I was unworthy of being loved in return. Consequently, I withdrew before you could. I attempted to dictate the outcome by walking away, unaware that I was orchestrating the very conclusion I feared. And now, I find myself questioning what might have unfolded had I chosen to remain, had I fully opened myself to you without hesitation or trepidation, without attempting to shield myself from the very thing I yearned for. Perhaps that realization compelled me to finally open up, withholding the truth began to feel akin to lying. Each time they inquired if I was okay and I replied, "I'm fine," a part of me was aware that I was anything but. For fine fails to encapsulate the ache of missing someone who has touched your soul. Fine does not articulate the dreams wherein your voice resurfaces, gentle and forgiving. Fine cannot convey the depth of the truth that I replay our last conversation like an unfinished film. I shared with them that you were the one who understood me before I even knew myself. You loved me unconditionally, even when I provided every reason for you to walk away. I confided in others that I had betrayed your trust, trying to suppress the weight of it, pretending it didn't affect me. Yet, the truth is, it consumed me. I cared deeply, too deeply to breathe normally. When they inquired if I believed you would return, I cast my eyes downward, managed a faint smile, and replied, "I don't know." But in the depths of my heart, I silently pleaded, "If there is still a chance, if there is still a way, bring her back to me, not solely so I can express my love for her, but so I can truly honor her as she deserves." For I now realize that I haven't merely lost a partner, I have lost a reflection of myself. I lost the essence that inspired my growth, the gentle whisper that soothed my inner turmoil, the only spirit that reaffirmed my belief in love's capacity to heal the wounds I once ignored. In this newfound understanding, I grasp what had eluded me. You were never overwhelming, I was simply saturated in fear. Therefore, if this is my singular opportunity to express myself without interruption, I wish to articulate what I have withheld. You transformed me. You unburdened a part of my soul I had tried to keep hidden beneath layers of logic, ego, and pride. You illuminated the darkest crevices, demonstrating that vulnerability is not a sign of weakness, but a testament to courage. You loved me in my silence, through my retractions, and each time I failed to meet your needs. I understand, my dear, I recognize your fatigue from waiting for me to awaken, from loving me while I remained ensnared by my past, from wondering whether I would ever publicly choose you. I detest that I caused you to doubt yourself, giving you reasons to question your worth when you consistently affirmed mine. But I implore you to believe me when I say this, I see you now. I acknowledge the sacrifices you made, the patience you exhibited, the quiet prayers you sent forth, hoping I would finally manifest into the man you envisioned beneath my pain. I am not quite there yet, but I am closer than ever, all thanks to you. Since the moment I witnessed you walk away, when the silence between us grew louder than any dispute could ever be, I have learned one undeniable truth: I never stopped carrying you with me. You inhabit my body, my spirit, my decisions, and every choice I've made since your departure. Even in moments of laughter, when I sought to move on, and tried to let you go, your presence lingered, the voice behind my thoughts, the warmth I sought during cold nights, the longing I could not articulate. No one recognized this struggle except for God, until last Thursday when my family observed the truth etched clearly on my face. They commented on how I appeared transformed upon uttering your name, that my voice trembled, and my eyes softened in a manner they hadn't witnessed in months. For the first time, I did not contest it. I did not evade the subject. I did not deflect. I merely nodded and acknowledged, yes, she was everything. There was a pause in the room, as if even they struggled to grasp that truth, realizing I was not referring to a chapter but an entire volume. You were not just a page of my past, you were the ink, the spine, the impetus for rewriting my narrative. I yearn to take you back to the very moment I made you question your place in my life. I wish to rewrite the unspoken words, the affirmations I failed to offer, the silence I maintained when you needed my voice. You are enough. In truth, you were far more than enough. You were the answer to questions my heart wasn't even fully aware of. Instead of shielding you, I defended my fears. I allowed my insecurities to steer me, guiding me into a domain where I relinquished the very essence that brought color to my life. And now, my beloved, as I take this final breath of confession, I need you to understand that this message is not merely words, this is a release. A release of every thought I concealed behind pride, every sentiment I buried in silence, the enduring love that persisted even when I attempted to erase it. If you are still here, still listening, still absorbing the weight of these words, perhaps some part of your soul recognized that I was addressing you all along. I harbor no expectations for answers or assurances. I only request one thing, a fleeting moment wherein your heart recalls what we shared, what we felt, and what remains unresolved. Should this resonate with you, please leave a comment below. Let your voice break through the silence, even if it is as simple as, "I felt this." I assure you, I will be reading, lingering, and praying, and if your spirit is stirred, I encourage you to share this message. Perhaps it may reach another soul in need of reassurance that they are still cherished, still missed, still embraced in ways they never comprehended. Kindly remember to like this video if any part of your heart resonated with these words. It aids this sacred message in reaching other broken souls. And if you feel compelled to accompany me on this journey of healing, subscribe to this channel, activate the notification bell, and do not miss any future moments of truth, love, and redemption. For this is not the conclusion, my love, it is where we commence anew, quietly, gently, divinely. Thank you for listening with your soul. Until next time, I remain here, still healing, still hoping, still yours. Type 1111 if these words resonated with you as if they were penned specifically for you.